Everybody else is waiting for everybody else to do it.
Okay, the Entropic Principle makes us ask if there were a time when there were trillion or quadrillions of conscious entities, why did we not come into existence then? We don't choose where or when we're born. We would therefore expect to come into conscious awareness where the population of conscious entities in the universe is near its maximum. Why now?
Finally, the Copernican Principle, that if we are to do anything beyond the realms of probability, making the probability of us going to the future very narrow, then we need to do something remarkable, and there's only a narrow window of opportunity for access to space, about 1,000 years. And remember, the whole of human history is in less than the thickness of that blue line on that blue arrow.
So while our future is not predetermined, it's very probable that that we won't become as numerous as the stars. That's at least what we're saying there is the odds are stacked against us. But it's not all gloom. Right? We need nothing short of a miracle. And science seems to have defined what that miracle is. The Copernican Principle says that we need to be in a special place at the start of a new spacefaring era. In fact, it would put us in a special place. It would put us outside that 95% confidence limit and in the first 2.5% tail. So we can actually quantify what percentage probability we have to do the miracle. Would it be remarkable if it happened? Well, what would we need? We need to have agreement from political leaders, business leaders, religious leaders, philanthropists, and general public to unite in a grand undertaking with a common purpose for no gain to the present generation. So, what's required if you had all that agreement? Well, we'd need a truly intelligent design, wouldn't we? Right? Not the backward-looking argument about whether we all come about by evolution or we were created, but rather we need a forward-looking perspective that says we cannot continue to evolve. We must seize the moment in our own era and design a miracle of our own making. So you might wonder, how are we going to do this incredibly expensive feat when there appears to be nothing in it for us? In developed nations, we have children and we expect nothing in return from them. Why do we do that? Not everything is driven by economics. So too, those future generations, those trillions or even quadrillions of conscious entities living in deep space would be something like our children. Of course, getting international focus may sound impossible, but is it? There's an interesting book written by a physicist called Kurt Mendelsohn called The Riddle of the Pyramids. In that book, Mendelsohn comes to a rather astonishing conclusion about the reason that the ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramids. Certainly the pyramids appear to have some sort of religious significance, and they seem to have something to do with rituals for eternal life. However, the Great Pyramids were far larger than what was required for a simple term. There were many other pyramids smaller, built before and after the Great Pyramids. The Great Pyramids were such enormous projects that they required enormous resources. Such a workforce could only be provided by bringing two warring nations of the South and North Egypt together for a peaceful purpose. Here we have an historic exemplar where a great infrastructure project was carried out with no expectation for a return on investment, and the act of undertaking that massive project was to unify warring nations. Mendelsohn wrote that book in 1976 during the Cold War, and he wondered what our modern pyramids might be. We might suggest that our great undertaking is of the order of 1,000 years. That is the window of opportunity for us to establish our presence in space. We can decide to send life into space as a gift, and we can ask for nothing in return. And to get ourselves out of the Copernican Principle, which is really about business as usual, that requires us to change now. Rather than saying we need to solve all our other problems first before concerning ourselves for the future, maybe we let the future provide a focus to help solve our problems for today. And the first step before we start building anything is really to change our collective self-talk. And I've lost the the self-talk there. Have you got that there? Okay, so we've already been quoting Abraham when he was directed by God to look at the stars. Maybe there's another passage we could take a lesson from, and that passage may have had its origins in the pyramid building era, a time when people put down their arms of war and picked up their building implements. Perhaps this is where the passage from Messiah 2:4 had its origins. You probably all know it. I'll just read it again. And he shall judge the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Maybe we could use that passage as a launching point for our collective self-talk for a new spacefaring era. And what would that look like if we let that evolve? So we'll just click. So I'll just read out a possible variation on that. And we shall ask our nations to turn our warheads into space capsules and our missiles into launching vehicles. Nations shall not target nation, and nations shall free themselves of thoughts of warfare. May we unite our nations and send eternal life into the heavens.
We're nearly there. So we ask, who will advocate for the long-term future of our descendants?
Or to put it another way, who speaks for life? Thank you.